A mod so grand for Victoria 3, it has its own artwork and loading screens and all. This is the Great Rework, and this video is actually about modding more broadly in Victoria 3. I'm going to highlight a few of my absolute favorite things that I've come across in the short lifespan that has been Victoria 3's modding scene, now barely 2 months old. The Great Rework by Ex-Imperialist is the focus, at least for the start here, although there will be time cards below. This is the focus for now, and as you can see by just starting off and looking at the map, it changes a lot. The sublime state of Iran, of course, in place of what would normally be Persia in Victoria 3, and a whole host of other changes to the geography and the politics of the map. A few borders, perhaps, a few nations and colours, the Ottomans and the UK looking fantastic in red, but there are so many more changes that it delivers. Like some relatively simple things. Here you can see the UI up in the top left, my infamy, my battalions and conscripts, my prestige, learning, all of it's in one place. It just makes it quite a bit easier, which is great, part of the great rework. You'll also see over this side, there is a fantastic little what I'm going to call markets widgets. That is not what it is actually called. There will of course be links below to the mods, and we'll talk later on about grabbing them, but here you can see it's highlighting shortages in my economy. Hardwood, dye, others. But also the goods that are being most commonly consumed and how they sit in terms of their price point. From grains to services, lumber, these are the really generic goods, of course, particularly at the start of the game. And over on this neat little markets widget, I have access to them. I can quickly jump into them, trade for them, build more, you name it, it's there. The mod adds a whole load of course, background girth behind that. Perhaps most confronting of all is this screen with all of the wonderful information, which is fantastic, by the way, including little insights and really easily readable ones even into traits for certain territories. Here I'm able to quickly jump in and figure out what I want to build and where I want to place it, thanks to the traits that are given to the land. Again, this is a small thing built out onto what is a mod of all mods. The Great Rework is a mod collection of, quote, good improvements aimed to enhance multiplayer experience in Victoria 3, although of course I would argue the enhancements for single player are just as profound. As I start to bring myself into a wartime economy, I begin to notice even more. National Defense, Ministry of Finance, and Economic Affairs. Of course, these institutions aren't necessarily new to the game. The functions of institutions have always existed. But what this mod pack is doing with all of the familiar things, I just can't help but love as the interest groups here stare me in the face, and we begin to unpack some really neat changes to laws as well. Of course, pretty fundamental to Victoria 3. The mod pack itself has been updated quite a few times. It is currently up to date with the latest version of the game, and it does a wonderful job at pulling so many different things together. Not just these interesting laws, these ones, for example, around officer commissions, but a whole host of other changes, including some maybe unseen changes that are even more impactful. State transfer tool added to the game. Fantastic. They've also increased the AI white piece desirability. It's now more likely to accept white piece, and they've proven that with some screenshots as well, making the game more fluid and more playable. Fluidity and playability is rife throughout the entire mod pack, the Great Rework, that is. As I jump over to some more Parisian gameplay, we can take a look at the changes to buildings. Not just the buildings themselves and some new ones, some very interesting ones, some militarist ones, but also the user interface, how it actually presents information, where money is coming from, how people are working, and some quick ways to upgrade buildings are really just scratching the surface. To ramble off just a few of the interesting things that it adds an international grant system, and of course that state transfer tool as well. It integrates a whole load of other features and functions into the game. Historical US leaders and American flavor fixes, adding to that history and event-based system. Also different buildings, production methods, like you can see here, the military academy. I mean, there's a whole host of changes to infrastructure and development. All of these militarist ones even better examples. Behind the scenes, though, there are other things. Explosive industries. A complete pop list has been integrated. Argentina's been rebalanced. Production method icons, mods, automation mod. There are so many fantastic things that have been pulled together into the Great Rework. And that's potentially what makes it the best mod on this list. But it's not the only one worth our attention. What I'd like to do now is just quickly, if you're wondering, touch on how to get them. Really quickly, this is how to install mods in Victoria 3. It's actually really straightforward. Navigate to the Mods tab. From here, you'll be able to click Browse More Mods. On this landing page, you'll be greeted with all of the mods for Victoria 3. Of course, you can filter on the right-hand side if you're looking for something in particular, like maybe something to do with war or trade or flags, or alternatively, you can filter up here for things like highest rated or simply the best first. Once you've found the mod that you're interested in, you can either download the zip file and install it manually in the Victoria 3 mods folder, or click the little plus to subscribe, just like you should subscribe to this channel. A shameless plug. Either way, once you click subscribe, you'll see that you will be prompted to create a playset in Victoria 3. You should do that and call it whatever you like. Once you have a playset created, and you do actually only need to have one, you can then simply add the mod to the playset like so. Navigate back to the Paradox launcher and you'll see that your new mod content should be installed here under the All Installed Mods panel. From there, navigate to the Playsets tab. This is where we've just created our brand new playset. In this case, I called it Whatever You Like. Here, make sure that you enable the mods that you want to play with. If you have multiple mods here, you can pick and choose which ones you like, and then go back home, and you should see your playset, Whatever You Like, they're ready to go, and as soon as you hit play, the mods that you have installed, and crucially, of course, enabled, will be activated. And that's it. But that's not it from me. In fact, the fun is kind of just getting started. With the Everyone All mod enabled, I'm able to play as any nation in Victoria 3, no matter how decentralized or unrecognized they may be. Everybody is all of a sudden on the table, so why not jump in with the Kazakhs? I mean, there are a few reasons, of course, why you might not, because while it makes the nations playable, it doesn't necessarily fill them with anything that they wouldn't have already had. So some populations will remain, but buildings, infrastructure, general economic activity, and forget about it. However, I have another secret weapon up my sleeve. That's right, it's a fantastic cheat mod, the ADVCM button for short, and this enables the advanced cheat menu. Thank you to the advanced cheat mod, which of course lets me tinker with, well, almost anything. Here I can add authority, money to my treasury, influence, you name it. Maybe a few extra loyalists into the country as well, get us off to a good start. Speaking of which, being able to click a technology and research it is kind of neat. And because we start with literally nothing, again, the cheat mod, the advanced cheat menu, is coming into play. I just quickly thought I'd click through a whole load of things, and then I realize I can move it to the left and the pop-ups won't get in the way. So I proceed to completely upgrade the Kazakh military. They are now, of course, the most well-researched nation. But the fun doesn't stop there. It's just getting started. And in fact, some of my more interesting things to handle here are down the bottom. Not only can we super mega buff our research or our infrastructure, our factories, I mean, as you can see, our population, basically anything. But there is one also kind of spicy thing to do. Build up a military, perhaps, you might think. Stack it up and take over the Russians. Absolutely. And thanks to the modding powers of Victoria 3, at least what limited ones we have so far, I could absolutely do that here. However, there's another interesting layer to this, and it's these buttons, which basically completely transform a nation by completely reshaping its laws to bend the politics around a certain ideology. In this case, of course, we've gone communist, and because it aligns well with the People's Republic of China event line, it's completely flipped the nation. There are so many interesting things, not just cheaty things, that you can do with mods in Victoria 3, and I think that the Great Rework is a wonderful example of just how insane a collection of people's efforts can be to really rework and reshape Victoria 3. And of course, then there's the cheating and the playing as other nations. There's a whole load of stuff to unpack. If you'd like to see me do more than just a mod spotlight video, which is kind of what this one was, let me know. And drop your suggestions below. I might try and pull together a best of list and create a video out of that. Anyway, enough gas bagging. I'll see you next time.